Hello everyone, welcome to the new topic, wastewater treatment. I'm from SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry. So basically this course we teach to the BTech students as well as the BSc students which is mandatory for them. In my previous lectures, I discuss uh, environment, their like the different kinds of waste that we have seen in our daily life. Pollutions like thermal pollution, soil pollution, water pollution, solid pollution. So all these things we have discussed earlier. Today I have chosen a new topic which is wastewater treatment. So the question is that why we should really treat the wastewater, and this is very important if you think about Indian rural systems where people mainly use the groundwater, okay, for their daily uses, including drinking. But if you consider the big cities like Mumbai, Chennai, Delhi, Calcutta, all these cities they cannot rely on groundwater because the amount of water we use in our daily life is a huge quantity. Okay, and therefore we should have an alternative source of this water so that we can survive in our daily life or we can sustain for longer. Okay, so basically that if I say or ask what is wastewater treatment is basically referred to sewage treatment or domestic wastewater treatment, and this is a process of removing contaminants from wastewater. uh, Also runoff. Runoff means if you have rain in your area, then whatever the rainwater that we received on the earth or the surface, that we have that is called runoff, and then domestic whatever we're using. And then also comes industrial wastewater. That is a different topic because it generally contains lots of chemicals which requires a special treatment method before we can reuse those wastewater. Okay, so this, if you really think about that, from where does the wastewater come? There are two types. One is domestic water, one is runoff, I told, and another one is industrial wastewater. And industrial wastewater, we can see these pictures. So the thermal power plant, any chemical power plant, any production plant, they are, and even the paper mill, they're using lots of water, and that supposed to be treated before they are actually like discharged to nearby water bodies. And then runoff, we all know there's a huge rain every year in India, different parts of India. Somewhere it is more, somewhere it is less, and that actually all we call runoff. Then our domestic use every day we are using cooking, washing the cooking wares, and then use toilets, then hand wash, then shower. All basically produce huge amount of water. If you really think about that amount of water you use in your family every day, if you're like four number of people or six or 10, whatever the size you have a family, and then when it goes to the like in a city like uh, Calcutta or Delhi or Mumbai or Chennai, we're producing every day millions of liters of water. That is a huge amount. And if you think that those water, dirty water, if you directly dispose into the sea or lake or river, that will be very dangerous for our health. You can simply think about Yamuna, how it is dirty. It's now I have seen in recent news that the foam started, pink color foam started to form, and that is really alarming for our environment. Okay, I already mentioned those concerns in my previous videos. So altogether, it produces huge amount of water, and therefore we should have a proper treating method to remove all these contaminants that we actually adding to this water, clean water, before they can discharge or we have to reuse those water. This is something we have seen here and there in India, that this is kind of coming from industrial perhaps. This is that small canal going through the towns or cities, and you can see the situation of this water. Okay, and it's so dirty. You can see people are throwing their garbages, solid waste, and it becomes very black, which contains huge amount of organic, inorganic contaminants or waste, and which we should not like discharge directly to the clean water bodies, as I mentioned here, near our locality. Which we generally do, that if there is a lake or there is a river, we just simply discharge those wastewater into the into this river or lake or even sea, which is not really a good practice for a modern civilization. Compositions of these basically we have water, which is almost 90%, 95%, which often add during the flushing or carry out waste down the drain. Pathogens, bacteria, virus, and then different kinds of parasites, non-pathogenic bacteria, organic particles like food, soap, whatever we're using, fiber materials or organic materials, soluble organic materials like urea, fruits. Then you have inorganic materials, which is like different kind of salts we're using everyday life. So these are the major compositions of wastewater, and the target of wastewater treatment to remove all these foreign particles from water and to get the clean. So there are a few things that we already learned, that is BOD, which is biological oxygen demand. And if you remember that biological oxygen demand is basically is talks about that amount of oxygen required to digest the biodegradable waste present in the water. So I would say this specifically organic materials, but there are certain organic materials which may not be digested by the microorganism if it is toxic towards it. Okay, so this basically we are mainly considering the amount of oxygen required to digest the organic material by microorganisms. Okay, so this basically the sanitary sewage contains around 200 mg per liter, and the clean water should contain 2 to 10 milligram per liter, which means that we have to drop down this amount 200 to roughly 10, which is very tedious work, but it's very easy. I will discuss this later. Another important parameter, that is the TDS, which is total suspended solid, which is roughly about 240 mg per liter. In pure water, it should be 30 mg per liter. So which means it's also very high quantity, and sometimes this 240 is it's not at all. It's close to 1,000 as well. So depending on the source of the wastewater, that amount may vary. But in a clean water, we should have BOD, which is between 2 to 10 milligram per liter, and TDS will be around 30 mg per liter. Okay. Okay. So the idea is that our objective of this wastewater treatment are the following. This is to eliminate the hardness of water. So hardness is basically present of calcium, magnesium, or iron, those metal salts which can cause precipitation, and those can basically uh, create a solid material. When we think about that, those salt, they produce hydroxides, they precipitate out, so we generally call it a hardness of water. To eliminate bad smell, because these probably if you go through that any such canal which carry all this dirty water, they are very bad in smell, so you cannot maybe walk nearby or nearby those candles. So this produces very bad smells, and we should remove those. To remove the solid waste in this way, solid waste I also will basically, you can see the some of the floating solid waste on the water, to kill and remove the disease producing microorganisms. Okay, so basically as overall, this dirty water should be transformed into a clean water which can be which we can drink later on. Okay, or you can use in other purposes. Okay, so that is the overall method. Now, this is what we have seen in India, or in generally happen throughout the world. Not in India. It happens throughout the world. So basically, the domestic water, in some cases, we can say like uncollected, which you really seen in rural areas. So if you think about your home, even I belongs to a very small village where we have all these pipe system in our home, but at the end what we do, we just drain outside our home because we have a very huge uh, place around our home. So basically we don't care, we just simply drain to the soil, and that water just simply soaked by the land. Okay, and that happens many cases. So now uncollected, it also happens with the cases that on site it itself treated. It's like treated on site. It could be domestic or it could be industrial park as well. Okay, so but basically in most of the industry does like this because those chemicals they cannot carry to the further or little bit far away from the industrial component or area and treat them separately, so that would cost a lot. So basically, they on site they treat those water. And then we have untreated water, which is basically we can see that we just simply discharge in lake or rivers or nearby sea or to the ground, which I just told you about my own family. Okay, so this is which we should not do, but we really do it in our daily life. Then we have because we don't have that collection system in our, because we are in a village area, we do not have such pipelines from the municipality. There is no municipality at all, so it's gram panchayat. So we really don't care about that much, and people don't care much. We are Indians, so we don't feel so. I feel bad that I'm saying those things, but this is the truth. Okay, okay, and then we have another section. We have collected. Now the collected they can treat or they can untreat it as well. So if they don't treat it, so basically directly discharge the river. So basically that happens in small town where they do not have any sort of waste treatment plant. So they simply collect it through a small canal, and then that canal directly go to that nearby river, which I have seen the nearest town in my state. Okay, I don't want to name the state, but it is happened there. So they basically whole town has a small canal which is going through, and then at the end of that tunnel is actually is the whole black water is mixing with the nearby river, which is really bad thing. Okay, we are polluting our environment, and that can produce huge amount of disease, which is not really recommended by the society. Okay, then treat it. So they basically, if you really want to treat, you have to send it to a particular you know treatment plant. There are two different ways. So wetland is basically there's a open land which they collected, and they just slowly so basically the microorganism and everything will be grown there, and it will be digested. But this particular lake or wherever it is going to the wetland, that really like bad smell, we generally don't and you cannot walk around. So that is a very bad thing. Then there are two different ways. One is aerobic treatment, which we are going to discuss. Another one is anaerobic treatment, which is basically lagoon. One of them is a big pond, which is also you can say that they are artificially made. In wetland, they are actually naturally made. So lagoon is artificially made. It's a big lake, a big pond, and they just discharge the water in anaerobic condition, which is slowly digesting all the organic materials. It's very bad smell. And then you could have another reactor which can produce the sludge, and then there is a different methods like this sludge is basically microorganism or bacteria that actually kill or digest, not kill, digest all these micro organic material. Then those sludge they can go for again digestion, which is basically for anaerobic digestion, recycling, land disposal. So simply dump somewhere. They can also treat those by incineration or landfill. So these are different methods that are available. People or that foreign countries, developed country, they really follows this sludge and then proper treatment of this sludge, because that's how they are where their countries are clean and people are living in a clean environment, and we generally follow untreated method mostly. But yes, the government has started. I think we have many such treatment plant in big cities that we are doing. We are progressing, but still a lot to go up. It's a we have a like a huge like a path to go to reach those standard of living. Okay. Okay, so basically that's all introduction. Basically, what we are doing every day, we're producing a lot of wastewater, and those wastewaters should be directly go to the treatment plant, and then treatment plant from there, after proper treatment, we should like a kind of discharge in a particular river or lake, so that the that environment of the lake or the river should remain as a natural, or that living system or the which are living there like fish or any other living system should survive properly. Okay, otherwise if any metal or anything that contaminate, that can those fish they can intact, and if we eat those fishes, and then we can be affected, or our health can be affected by this. Okay, so this is the pictorial diagram where we have what I have presented, that wastewater collection. So basically the different ways I told you, one is a domestic, one is industrial, and another one is rainwater, which is runoff. Okay, so you can see what happened when there is a rain. So all the water will be coming through the land, and then there will be a channel or kind of pipeline where it will go inside, and then from there it can directly go to the river, because these are not that much dirty, I would say, because unless until it is coming through the like a very much dirty place or area where you have a lot of waste. Otherwise, these are mainly contain a little bit amount of waste that we generally you can think of like directly discharging into the river or lake nearby. But then comes to the domestic, where we can use the household. We have household water as a waste, so there is one is inlet, one is outlet, and this outlet should be sent to the particular waste. So this is the inlet which is coming here, and then this is the outlet which is coming here, and that we should send it to that particular waste water treatment plant. And basically you can see in these pictures, if you don't treat, dirty discharge that produce a dirty water, that color little bit black, and then if you do the proper treatment, and then you have a very clean water that can be easily discharged into the nearby lake or water bodies. Okay, and then this is what is basically collection. So basically there is a water line that reach to the household, and whatever you produce the water, that is another channel or pipeline that you take directly to the nearby area where you have wastewater treatment plant. They will treat it properly, remove all the unwanted material from the water, and then that will be discharged into the particular area. So this is very like general method of wastewater treatment that is in a that present in many numbers in big cities, and people should really take care about all these things every day, so that we can produce or we can live in a cleaner environment. Okay, now I don't know if you remember or not, nowadays now I think 50 out of 50 the what is called most polluted cities belongs to India, which is really very alarming for us, for our future generations, or when we will be grown up much older. Okay, you, including you, we will have to face huge consequences, because we are in a like a huge population, where now that like 1.5 billion, that largest population in the world country wise, and we produce a lot of waste, and everywhere we are like throwing the waste, we pollute our environment, that actually pollute come back to us as a disease causing material. It could produce a lot of bacteria. It could produce a lot of like other smell, which is also contains a lot of microorganisms which can cause diseases. Okay. Okay, so we'll start the next portion, each and individual step in the next video. Thank you very much.